Hi! I like clothes. I like owning clothes, I like wearing clothes, and I like buying new clothes. But what I don't like at the moment is going to shopping centres full of other people in order to obtain clothes. I'm sure you understand my reasoning there. So today, my anxiety is super high, so I figured I would use the illusion of productivity to make myself feel better. So I'm gonna make a springtime jumpsuit. I first bought this pattern back in November of last year and I used it to make a Christmas jumpsuit that I wore on Christmas Day. And it was really cute, but I did make a couple of modifications to the pattern, and because it was the first time making it and I was kind of doing it on the fly, there are some things that definitely need to be improved upon and fixed from that. So I made another jumpsuit that was very cottagecore, but also the material for this one wasn't stretchy, so it didn't fit me like the Christmas one did. So I made another one that was in a larger size, and for some reason I cannot get the zip to do what I want it to do, so it's been sitting almost finished, abandoned for a couple of months. But today I am going to make the same jumpsuit with the modifications that I feel like I've kind of gotten the hang of now, but I'm going to make it with shorts instead of the 3/4 length pants, because I would like to go for a kind of like cottagey, obviously cottagey, but like a little farming look. Like you could stick these with a pair of gumboots and a bucket hat. Is kind of the vibe I would like to go for with this. So I've got my fabric here, plus all my other miscellaneous sewing paraphernalia, and let's get started cutting it out. And can I just take this moment to say, new sewing scissors, game changer. I just bought these ones and they are so sharp, they make my life so much easier. I cannot believe I was using old blunt ones for so long. So I have a fair bit of fabric left over. I also have this T section, which I knew I was going to have. I think I might use this section to maybe make like a scrunchie or a hair ribbon or something like that. And then this really long one that goes across, that's going to be my shoulder strap. So I did plan to have those large sections, but they do look very dramatic now that it's all cut. So the next thing I am going to do is I am going to take off all these pattern pieces. And yes, I know one pattern piece doesn't match the others. Yes, it bothers me. No, I don't want to talk about it. So now I'm going to go through and I'm going to overlock all my pieces, which I never see people doing in sewing videos. They always just leave their edges unfinished and it, Anyway, I am going to overlock mine because I don't want anything to come apart, and then I'm going to start sewing it all together. Alright, so I now have all of my pieces all overlocked. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go along and cut off all the little tails, and then I'm going to start pinning it all together. So once I've cut off all my overlocker threads, I start sewing my darts together, then pin the sides of the bodice to the front and sew those together as well. I do this 2 times to create an outer layer and a lining as well, which is not part of the pattern. I have added that in for my own personal enjoyment. Then I sew the front and back pants together with a folded piece for the pockets and start testing it for size, making any adjustments that I need. By this stage, I have a piece for the bodice and then a separate piece for the legs. And that's where I'm going to call it for the first day. Good morning, it is a new day, and your girl is disassociating hard, but I started the day by pinning the bodice and the shorts together and trying it on together and promptly breaking the sleeve. Oh, just look at my dead eyes. The lights are on, but no one is home, my dudes. From there, I sew the 2 main pieces together and move on to the bit I'm most nervous about, the zipper. Dun dun dun. Today I'm trying out a technique that I've been seeing around, but I've never actually tried it myself, wherein I sew the back seams together using the loosest stitch my machine will allow. Then I put the zip along that seam and sew each side, and once that's done I can unpin that center seam and voila, invisible zip installed. And just when I thought I was almost done, I seemed to enter a mini comedy of errors. I had 1 stitch left. I was putting on the back of my last sleeve that I measured 15 times to make sure it was right. Bobbin ran out of thread. I was like, wow, I managed to get this entire thing done without having to rethread the bobbin once.
Well, you obviously worked out how to do it.
Oh yeah. I didn't get many skills from HSE Textiles, but threading a bobbin is one of them. I didn't really measure the shorts, just folded till they looked kind of even, but when I went to sew the tacks to keep them folded, my thread kept snapping and I'm still not sure why. There wasn't any extra thread tension or anything, it just was being annoying. But I had to rethread the machine like 3 times, but eventually I did it and the jumpsuit was complete. All right, there we are. Hello, we are vlogging today because I can't be bothered to get my tripod out. So I have finished the jumpsuit. I know there's not a whole lot of footage of the second day because in the first day of filming, I was super anxious. The second day of filming, it was like I wasn't even there. I was so checked out mentally from everything I was doing as a result of how anxious I was the day before. Super fun. Mental health is great. Anyway, I have finished the jumpsuit. I really love how it looks, but I have some leftover fabric. So I thought, let's make a matching scrunchie to go with the outfit. Okay, so I have my leftover fabric here. We need to cut 22 inches by 3.5 inches. It's in inches because you'll know it's all the Americans that are putting up scrunchie tutorials on YouTube at the moment. So if we measure this out, I'm like pretty sure we have, yes, just enough to do 22 inches. So let's just mark that off there. 22. Now we need about 3.5 inches across. So if I start there, 3.5. All right, I'm just gonna kind of do that pattern down the fabric. This is not gonna be exactly measured because I figure we don't need to see a perfect pattern in scrunchie. It's more about the general gist, isn't it? So if we just measure out those 3 inches and cut it all the way down. There we go, that's a general-ish 3.5 inches all the way down. It is definitely not straight, but who is nowadays? So let's cut that out and then we can start sewing. Ta-da! All right, that is the main part of our scrunchie. What we're now gonna do is we're gonna fold the correct sides together and sew all along this seam, turn it inside out, and stick some elastic through it. Something I forgot to mention is before we put it all together, we're gonna take one end and we're actually gonna fold it over. This is gonna be the end that we see in the scrunchie. So super important that we fold that end over so we end up with a little lip at the top. And now we sew. All right, now that that is all sewn up, I'm gonna take a safety pin and put it just around one of these sides. Now I didn't do this when I was doing the straps for the jumpsuit, and I should have, and I regretted it because it was really, really difficult to turn it inside out. So we thread that all the way through, and we can use that safety pin to help guide where we're going. And then we have our lovely little tube for our scrunchie. I'm gonna go and find some elastic and then we'll finish it off. All right, elastic procured. So my mum has been making face masks, kind of obsessively, and it's kind of awesome that there is like quite a fair bit of elastic floating around. So this is what I have commandeered, and I'm actually gonna double it over because it is very, very thin. So we need 9 inches of this. Awesome, I did not find any scissors here. Let's see if I can do this. Aha! I'm so glad that worked. Sorry, Mum, I didn't do it. I didn't touch your sewing machine. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna use this same needle trick with the safety pin, putting it through the elastic, which is probably easier on non-shoelace elastic. Preferably do not stab yourself when doing this, but you know, I'm a rebel. And we are gonna thread that all the way through our little tube. Now that we've got both ends sticking out, we are gonna tie those in a knot. Take the safety pin off first. All right, that looks pretty strong. So now we get up to the fun, what I would call the finicky bit. We are just gonna move our elastic around a little bit so the knot is hidden away. Oh, this fabric's decided to fray very easily today. It wasn't like that when sewing the jumpsuit. It's just special for me today. All right, then we're gonna take our non-sewn up end and place it inside our sewn end, or our folded over end rather, I should say, until we have a full circle. And I'm just gonna sew along that little join. And we have a scrunchie. All right, let's go and put everything together and do the big reveal.
Hey sunshine, why are you sitting all alone? You're thinking of all the places you can't go. You could be the dumbest little treasure this world has ever seen. So sunshine, won't you shine for me?
Alright, let's talk pros and cons about this jumpsuit. Overall, I absolutely love it. It looks like something my mum would have put me in to take me to preschool in the 90s, and I'm living for that. I did have to alter this pattern a little bit to make it fit the way I wanted it to. I had previously made this jumpsuit in a smaller size and had found that it was too small when not using stretch fabric, but in going up a size, this was far too big. So I did have to like take the darts in quite a fair bit and add a couple of extra little pinches to try and make it fit the way I wanted it to. So I'd really love a size in between there, but I know that's not how women's clothing works. So I'm glad I went up a size and was able to take it in, because it's a lot harder to try and take it out when it's too small. The other thing that I'm not super thrilled about is that when I rolled up the bottom of the pants, I didn't really put any kind of stiffening or anything like that in to keep its shape. So while the sides have been stitched to keep the same folds, at the back it's starting to unfold a little bit, so I end up with like a saggy situation, so I'm not stoked about that. But I can just like keep re-rolling that, try and iron it into place. I can make it work. Some things I think did work was, this is the first time in sewing anything I've been happy with my zipper. I'm not ecstatic, I know it's not perfect, but for me, this is the best zipper I think I've ever done, and I tried a totally new technique with it and it worked out, so hooray. Zipper is a big tick. I also think that the sizing, once I did change everything around and add extra darts and stuff, this probably fits me the best out of anything that I've made. So I think that is a big... Overall, I am really happy with how this turned out. I'm definitely going to be wearing it around. I love that I have a matching scrunchie now. Massive, massive shout out to Hannah, who let me use her song Hey Sunshine for my reveal. I only sang the first verse though, so if you want to check out the rest of the song, you can click this little link here that should take you to her channel. Or if you want to see more of my cottagecore content, you can click here to see my garden path playlist. If you want to subscribe, you can click this little thing here. I don't have a regular update schedule, but I do make all kinds of interesting things, mainly original songs, Disney covers, and these cottagecore videos. I hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you for the next video, whenever that may be. Bye!